Yo!
Yayo Talk Show!
Dreamin'!
Don't give it up, Molly.
Dreamin'!
Don't give it up, Marco.
Dreamin'!
Don't give it up, Katie.
Dreamin'!
Al's name didn't fit. They talk about the show, this group of four friends been going for 1,000,000 years, there's no end. Watching every arc and saga, no sleep. It's the king of anime, 1,000 episodes deep.
Yayo Talk Show!
Talking about One Piece.
It's the name of the podcast.
We're not on Vine. Yayo Talk Show. Talking about
One Piece.
What's up, wenches, privateers, and non-binary buccaneers? Welcome aboard the most chaotic One Piece podcast on the Grand Internet. Today we're going to be talking about Fishman Island, but before we do, let's introduce you to the crew. First, the captain of the Crew No Pirates, Molly D. Simpy.
Hi, I don't know what that was. If Mark keeps that in, I'm sorry. I'll say it now.
Oh no, we're going to start from the intro, and no one will have any context for what came before.
Then
Also,
I'm not
the
sorry.
wild theorist Caden Jensen.
We finally made it to Fishman Island.
And we
are
don't want to
here.
talk about it.
After 1,000 years, we are here. It's Fishman Island. Finally.
You know what else it is? It's the Laughborg Al McClellan.
It's me. Do I say more? Pause.
Only if you want to.
Need I
I'm,
say more?
Waggling my eyebrows over here. You know what this is. It's podcast.
Just get the laugh track going, audience clapping for when Al shows up.
Hey! He's the wacky neighbor, Al McClellan Jr. And I, the internet's gentleman, Mark B. Donica. The B, of course, stands for a bonesman. Welcome in.
The Bonesman.
Like, and in like reviewing this arc of Fishman Island and being reminded of people that I never wanted to hear from or talk about again.
Yeah. I like a week or two ago, you just threw names out, and I was like, who? And you're like, this guy's like, who? And you're like, you know, this guy, and I was
You
like,
know, Luffy?
oh, that guy. No, I like Luffy.
Okay.
I'll never forget about Luffy. But like, just like you just kept saying Caribou over and over again, and I was just like, it does not compute. Like error, like file missing from folder where he should be in.
Yeah, and so with this, like, there is so much minutia when it comes to like revelations about the world and certain characters and certain histories where I don't think we should go like point to point like we usually do, and I just want to kind of talk about highlights and talk about what people want to talk about because we learned a lot. And to me, the most important thing that we learned, or I'll ask that question by answering it myself. Of what do you think was the most important thing that we learned from Fishman Island? For me, it was the fulfillment of seeing everybody's new like default mode. That fight at the end where it was scores of the new Fishman pirates, and you just got to see, first of all, Luffy take people out with Conqueror's Hockey, and then be like, all right, and now we move on. And you got to see everybody go buck wild and really experiment.
This entire arc was just a setup. Little did you know it was a setup for them to just flex.
And to promote the newest Pirate Warriors game, I guess.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah, no, the first Pirate Warriors game came out at Return to Sabaody, so
There you go. No, this arc to me was just, I knew Jinbei was bae, but like now he's more bae. Now he's like,
Bay.
now he's like, oh yes, hello, daddy. Think
Sorry.
so. Sorry.
Fish
Sorry, not
daddy?
sorry.
Fish daddy? Sorry. Fish daddy? Sorry.
I just love him. I mean, really, like this arc for me was just like, can we just get to the gym? But he said he would meet us here. We've been texting him this whole time. Where is he? Like, I just want. There he is. Ah, there he is. And then
This guy.
they just let him talk
Came
for
down.
like 20 chapters, and I was okay with that. Totally fine with that.
I know
Got-
what I think is the most important thing we learned.
What?
and do you okay, so I guess Caden's version of the question is, how much do you want to talk about now, and how much do you want to talk about
Theory.
in your theory segment at the end?
Listen, you usually ask a question right at the beginning to me. for where I am in One Piece.
I usually do, yeah.
I want to say two things. I finally understand Punk Hazard.
Oh, we did it, gamers!
Which don't say no
Hooray!
more because that's a spoiler
That-
territory.
that's future episodes of this show, but I do know Punk Hazard. And then one thing bothers me, and we'll talk about it later, but I do want to say it at the beginning to get people's interest piqued and get their, claws dug into the podcast before we start prattling on about fish and all the fish places and all the fish things, the candy and the
Yee.
fish candy and the
Yee.
sharks
Yeah.
and all that stuff. And it's two other words. I already got you with Punk Hazard. Let me hit you with this one.
Hit us.
Joy Boy.
I've been hit.
My face.
Get comfortable.
There's so much I want to say about those two words.
It's weird
Well,
that
I
that's
guess you're
what
gonna
you
have to
want to
listen
talk
through.
about, because
That's
I want to
wild.
talk about with Robin is how things are happening and Robin just figures out the local bus system all by herself.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive. Like, I go to a new city, it's going to take me a long time to figure this out. Robin immediately is just like, I can read all of the symbols. And it's like, that's a bus schedule.
They set up like all these different plots and shenanigans and where all the Straw Hats are and all this like B and C plot about what's going on the island, and then hard cuts to Robin just quietly waiting at the bus stop listening to like her iPod and like thinking about stuff, waiting for the bus to show up.
The thing that we didn't see from Robin's 2-year arc was her just sitting in front of a computer on Rosetta Stone, learning all of the-
Duolingo on her phone.
Yeah, that's what it is. She's just looking up
Stupid
Duolingo.
fucking owl.
Don't mock me, Owlman.
Elman.
Al, what about you, sir? What
Yeah.
what do you think is like the most important thing to pull from this arc?
I mean,
Mm-hmm.
like at this point, we've heard about these legendary weapons and what that means, and the concept of a legendary weapon being a person is really interesting. And like, also, Tsuruhoshi is a really good character, big woman, but also very nice. But truly, the most important thing is Frankie built a mech.
Yeah, no, there is that. There's definitely that.
Iron
And it-
Shogun.
It is made out of a combination of a motorcycle and a tank. Yes, it's awesome. Thank
It's
you very
incredible.
much. Oda, the gifts you have given.
This anime has now become a mecha anime, and I will
Mhm.
not receive any notes on that statement. We meet a lot of people
A
in
lot of
Fishman
people.
Island, and that's like, even when it comes to like the new Fishman pirates, it makes it feel like it feels almost like a movie, in the sense of like, check out this dude and their gimmick, check out that dude and their gimmick. But ultimately, like, the things that to me they're remembered for is kind of being a pale comparison of like the next thing, or of like some things that came before, I should say. And specifically when we talk about Hody Jones, who is the main antagonist and the leader of the new Fishman pirates, I feel like they were trying to give us sort of this how to put it, like, you know, we hear a lot about the will of D, and like people inherit the will of this person and that person, and this is Hody inheriting the will of Arlong, and that's a name that isn't necessarily thrown around with reckless abandon, to the point of, you know, we always say that if you're not down by Arlong Park, what you must be watching a different show, because that's the tea. But I feel like Hody Jones,
Hody Jones.
both in the writing and the execution of him as a character, was, and I guess that makes him successful, is trying to live up to this standard of this like pure evil that we recognized as Arlong, and just doesn't, because he's a dumb kid on drugs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a little too real, a little too much commentary there, but I just want to bring it back to how fun it is to say Hody Jones.
Hody Jones.
I just
So
like
very,
this,
very
this-
fun name.
I just like can't imagine this guy who's like wreaking havoc in like certain parts of town and like kind of like the equivalent
Oh,
of
I can
like
make it worse.
uh-oh.
I can make it worse. I remember watching fan subs of this because this was about a decade ago,
Yeah.
where he wasn't Hody Jones, he was Hordy Jones.
Horty Jones.
Because of the affectation that they put
Hordy.
on his name, people were like, "Oh, they must be saying Hordy," but it's like, are you not like read the manga? And it's it's
Horty
sometimes the
Jones.
stuff's lost in translation.
He hoards like no one.
Yeah, he hoards
So
drugs.
hoardy for that treasure.
He
Horty
hoards
torty.
those pills.
So
Eating those pills.
I wanna say that okay. So thematically, I understand where we're at here.
Yeah.
This is Romance Dawn to Electric Boogaloo. This
Yeah.
is where we're at. We had the return to Sabaody, which was the intro to everything here. And sees our crew getting back together, which mirrors the crew getting together in the first place.
It's
So-
the arc that launched 1,000 Sunny.
Right. It's
Thanks, Al.
I liked it.
and
That was very good.
Fishman Island is kind of this like, okay, welcome to this half of the world now. Welcome to this part of it. And kind of it feels very much I think you're right. I think you're right with what you're getting at, Mark, is Hody Jones is very much this Arlong-ish.
Our light.
And there's just like a lot of like even the manga kind of just like, oh hey, Arlong just stole the font from the Sabaody for Arlong Park. And it's just like it's all just kind of it's very cyclical. We're starting again. It's brand new. We're back. We're here. New pirates, new ship, new powers, new abilities, and our first enemy is Diet Arlong.
More beef, less brain this time.
Yeah.
No, it's like it's like it's not it is Diet Arlong, but it's more like protein shake Diet Arlong.
It's just such a like I was so hyped to finally get to Fishman Island. And the moment I got here, it took me forever to actually get through these chapters because it was so
It's a lot of info dumping, and
the
you're
thing
just
is,
you're ready to jump in the action.
it's not even that. I don't mind the info dumping. But they don't say anything. They don't say anything till the end of the arc. They don't say anything of value until the end of the arc that's pertinent to anything that we're after, at the very least. They're giving us little tastes of things like, oh, hey, after the whole thing with, you're kind of did some government kerfuffle nonsense, ha 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 ha, and Whitebeard's gone, now this place is Big Mom territory. And that was just like, first thing that hit my brain is Big Mom. All right, now we're getting into it. Now we're going to start really getting into things. And I'm just like, okay, cool. More info. More, please. More info about that. And they're just like, yeah, we make candy for Big Mom. And then anyway, so this is our a very detailed, overview of our transit system.
Well, the first thing that happens when they get to the island is like, hey, what's that shadowy bit over there? Oh, that's
You
just
must never go there.
That's just the candy factory. Where we make candy to like appease an emperor. Don't look at that part. We don't go there. We don't talk about that place anyway. Here is our bus system, and it's pretty lit.
Check out my button collection. It's buttons. Not like pins buttons, but like buttons that like fall off people's coats. I pick them up. I'm going to count them the entire arc. And you're just going to watch me. I'm like, why? What? You teased one thing and then you walked away from it so hard. You just dropped the fact like, oh yeah, everybody knows about that. Anyway, button collection?
That's why they did it.
This arc feels like that throughout the entirety of it. The fights are fine. There's some cool moments. Again, Frankie Mech, really cool, really awesome.
Ow.
We get to see what I like to affectionately call teenage chopper form with the big horns. It's so
Also good at
adorable.
digging.
It's just like, that's my boy, that's my son. Way to go, little boy. Way to go. You
My
did it.
boy.
That's my boy.
Brooke learns how to separate his soul from his body.
Yeah,
That's fun.
which is
Where
really cool.
soul meets body.
Oh my god.
It's just like it's kind of like this. Honestly, feels like all right. Welcome to everybody just kind of flexing a bit because nothing feels scary. Everything's just like yeah. Easy. Nothing's at risk here.
To that
honestly.
point, I feel that the Diet Arlong is even more so of a thing to be like, oh, see, he's like Arlong, he's dangerous, and then we find out that he's no big deal at all. Like
Yeah.
the thing that made him like his ideals made him dangerous because we recognize those ideals, but then it was the drugs that made everybody else that much more dangerous.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's just kind of like everybody's been waiting for the Straw Hats to show up, and it's like showing up to somebody's house when like family drama is also happening on the side, and then being like, "Welcome, we're so happy to have you." Oh my god, I'm so embarrassed. I'm so no, you. We'll take care of it. We'll take care of it. And it's just kind of like them being like, yeah, we can't wait to get to Fishman Island and see Jinbei and like hang out. And then, I don't know, maybe go to Taco Bell and get out of here. And then like they get there and it's all this stuff happening around them. And like the scenes where like, the scenes when like Jinbei is explaining what's happening and it's all like flashbacks and we cut to Luffy and he's kind of like staring at Jinbei and like sipping tea but like no one is commentating really, and then we cut back and Luffy's asleep and it's just like so much stuff is happening specifically to this island and it's very important, but at the same time it's like not what we thought this was going to be. Like we thought this was going to be a fun time. Jinbei was going to show us around. We were going to have a big meal with like the like, like the king of Fishman Island and have a joyous time. And then it's like I can't leave my room because this creep guy who creeped on me when I was a child like will throw things at me like every day at the same time. And Luffy's like, "Oh, well, let's just not do that. Like, let's just, okay, well, I'll deflect it and then you can do what you want." And it's like, it was that easy? It's like, yeah, it's that easy. Like, what? I don't, okay. And it's like, okay, we're doing this now. Cool. What's the next thing? Oh, you're having like a kind of civil war happening here? That's fucked up. Well, why don't we just take these guys out then? And it's like, what? Like, but it's not your problem. It's like, no, but it's ruining our trip, so we'll take care of it so we can have a nice trip. Like, we'll help you guys out so that we can continue our vacation.
Man, this arc has got a lot going on. So I guess we mentioned Shirahoshi. Shirahoshi is the daughter of King Neptune, and she is considered one of the great weapons. Neptune. Who knew? Yeah, Poseidon. Excuse me.
Yeah. She's also 40 feet tall.
Yeah, but she's also a crybaby. That's
she's kind of adorable. Like you first meet Shirahoshi, and she's. I felt immediately in simpatico with Luffy. I'm just like, oh, she's got a cute design, and then she like started crying and being a brat about everything, and I'm just like, Luffy's just like, stop that. And I'm just like, yeah, no.
Hey, shut up.
You gotta stop. Stop
The irony that we just got through an arc of Luffy's entire backstory being the crybaby and him being like, stop that. I hear Ace laughing in One Piece Heaven. I hear him laughing in One Piece Heaven.
Well, he learned from Ace. Stop being a crybaby. Stop doing it. Stop being a crybaby. It's not going to solve anything.
Hate the government. Stop being a crybaby.
You can cry while you're doing something about it, and that's
like
kind of
Usopp.
Luffy's. Yeah, like Usopp.
Learn a lesson from the greatest pirate warrior ever.
Yeah, and that's why Usopp's one of the most relatable characters. It's like you have to pay your bills, but it's okay if you cry while you do it. Like you can cry, but you gotta do the dishes at the same time. Like just multitask,
That was so good.
Sorry, Tyrael?
No, I mean, yeah, but that's fine.
Yeah, she's getting like constantly harassed by it's like I'm Vanderdecken.
We just got done. This is gonna shatter the illusion. We just got done talking about movie Z, where we specifically hated how Sanji was like, yeah, I can see Nami Swan like growing up, like and maturing, and then we get here. We're talking about this now with Vanderdyke, where he's like, oh, you're gonna. Sorry, Decken. My bad. Oops. Censor that. But like the fact that like this guy was like she's gonna be hottie one day is just so creepy. I hate that, and I hate the worst part is that
the worst villain of this arc because of the creep and the cringe.
And the absolute worst part is that his ability activates by touch. So don't be anywhere near this child, man. And the fact that he had to touch it and hasn't washed his hands since, and he wears a glove is fucking disgusting, and I hate that. Also, it really gets my goat. The best ship in every pirate story, the Flying Dutchman. Like,
oh yeah, this guy gets the Flying Dutchman.
They wasted it on him, and it made me so mad. It's such a cool ship in every story, and then this guy, like, this is the guy, like, really, Oda?
Sees Pirates of the Caribbean once.
It's just like, ugh. Part of the ship, part of the crew.
There was so much build. It's like, we're going to go to Fishman Island, detour. We're going to go to Fishman Island, detour. Go to Fishman Island, detour. Going to go to Fishman Island. 2 years later, we're finally here. Here's this creep and this dollar store version of Arlong fight. And then Luffy goes, whew, and it's over. It's like, that was it?
Do you want to know when them wanting to go to Fishman Island started?
Yeah, please. It was Water 7.
Episode 323, and they arrived at episode 527.
I want to cry.
Yeah. You know, wow.
200 episodes. So that's 4 years.
200 episodes for this creepy bastard.
Yeah.
And diet dollar store flat left out on the counter for several hours Arlong. You suck. You suck.
Dr. Pepper versus
eventually
Mr.
with
Pibb.
vanilla flavoring.
It's like this is, it's like, oh, I have a vintage version of Coca-Cola that it's like, crack it open. That's what this guy is. You crack open the
Don't even. All right, let's just get it out of the way now because we're already talking about things we hate about this arc.
Ooh, let's do it.
Caribou.
Oh, Caribou.
A guy I wish we would stop talking about is just this guy. What is it? The swamp fruit? Like, get over yourself, man. God. Like, the worst. And he just, like, piggybacks on this trip because he got barreled because he piggybacked because he was like, she's like, I'm on their ship. And then it's like he says it while like everyone's staring at him. And then they just put him in a barrel. And then they get yeeted into the underwater currents to get to Fishman Island. And he also landed there as well. And it's just,
leave him there.
Hate that. No, don't leave him there. Like,
throw him in the ocean.
I like the Fishman people. Like, don't, just let the ocean have him. It's just like, I hate that they brought garbage. You know what I mean? It's like a pristine island and they brought garbage with them. Like, no, like take it out, recycle it yourself. You know what I'm saying? But I'm like,
throw the whole man away.
As if it wasn't already bad enough with Vanderdecken, and then this guy, Caribou guy.
It's just.
Can we
stop
not
being creepy with Shirahoshi?
Yeah, leave her alone.
Dear One Piece, stop being creepy with women in general, please.
Yeah. I actually love Shirahoshi.
Shirahoshi rules. What a great character.
I super relate to being large and trying to get out of the way of everybody. It's like
absolutely.
Oh, she's so cute. I love that.
Big.
I love that you guys can relate to that. The Buggy Boys are like, oh man, finally somebody who gets it.
Dude, doorways.
No, that was.
See, this is why we call you Smalley, because you don't have to deal with doorways.
You don't have to be constantly aware of ceiling fans.
Oh
God.
If you like stretch your hand up in the air.
I can't raise my hands in my bedroom. Otherwise, the ceiling fan will chop my hands off. Okay.
Well, me too.
I'll punch the spackling on the ceiling.
It's like everything's too. It's higher ceilings, please.
I'm looking at my apartment and I'm equating sizing and I'm like, you guys would be comfortable here. So I'm happy that my apartment could accommodate all of you.
I'm surprised, Molly.
We're coming over.
I'm surprised you have a sizable apartment in the area you live in.
Exactly. But it's just like surprisingly, the bedroom ceiling is lower. I know that for sure because I've been bonking my head on that stuff when I stand on my bed.
Well, we're
bonked.
But if I hold my hands up, they'll hit the ceiling fan. But the living room and kitchen, you guys are gonna be like, whoa, look at all this room. I could wear an Abraham Lincoln size hat on top of my head, and
Well,
I would be
that works
fine.
for me.
Yeah.
Anyway, Princess Bonksherhead is really great.
Usually that type of character, that kind of crybaby, like, wait, you'll protect me, right? That type of character, I usually like do not care about in the least ever, and they usually annoy me because they put them in front of you, like you have to take care of her. I'm like, I didn't sign up for this. Shirahoshi, I would absolutely protect. I would absolutely stand up for her because you know why? She takes initiative. She tries not to be a crybaby anymore, and I'm like, good for you. I'm like, that. You know what that is? Growth.
Yep.
Growth.
That's my favorite part of like that intro with Luffy and Shirahoshi. If anybody else had met Shirahoshi, it would have gone sideways.
Yeah, what if Buggy met Shirahoshi?
No, we're not doing that. like thinking about it,
we'll bring that up during our film Zed review. How about that?
Thank God Sanji didn't meet her first, because I would have just that's where I would have stopped reading One Piece.
There's so much like that, like would have. Speaking, I want to talk. I'm going to come back to that in a minute, so hold on to that.
Great.
But like thinking about like the fact that Luffy met Shirahoshi first is Shirahoshi's just like, oh, this is good. This is a wholesome, like, you know, relationship between me and this person. He's trying to be encouraging and, you know, challenging me to grow beyond my If Zoro came in and be like, baby, and then walk away, it would have been it.
Zoro would have walked in and be like, huh, this isn't the ship. And then like how we talked about
episode, this isn't the ship.
About how he was like, he's been to the One Piece before and was like, huh, wrong place, turns around.
At the same time, somehow Zoro is always associated with like taking care of kids.
Chopper.
Chopper.
It's
so like
Chopper.
Somehow it would have been like this really beautiful thing where like X amount of episodes later just been like, oh yeah, this guy's my dad now. Sorry, actual dad, King Dad, dude.
The thing is,
sorry,
like,
King Dad.
The thing is you see what Zoro's doing at the time when Luffy's meeting Shirahoshi, and it's just like Zoro's just like, time to just chop. Gonna use swords now.
Yeah, Zoro's famous catchphrase, "Time to chop."
No, it's the slap chop. It's the
You're gonna love my nuts.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like Robin would have been too overwhelming for Shirahoshi, because Robin would have been just like, all right, I'm gonna take out my little book here. Can you tell me everything about everything that's ever happened here ever? And
can I have
Shirahoshi
all of the tea,
not.
please?
And Shirahoshi would have been just like, no. Shirahoshi is Luffy's speed, is what I'm trying to get at. Shirahoshi is exactly Luffy's speed.
Similar mental wavelengths.
Yes, very similar mental wavelengths.
Yes, I am Luffy, also baby.
I also just love with like Shirahoshi in the same vein of like her and Luffy in a similar like brain span of like being very blunt. And instead of like turning down people gently or whatever, she's just brutally honest and like, you're not my type. And I'm like, dude,
best.
I have been there. And I just sometimes it's just like, can I just fucking say it? Like I'm like, it's not even like, it's not you, it's not me. You're not my type, man. Like, don't be personally offended by that.
That being the turning point for Vanderdecken of like, well, I guess she has to die.
Well,
like,
you die then.
The pattern of punishing toxic masculinity needs to come full circle with Sanji, because we keep seeing it happen with bad guys.
Yeah.
And when Sanji exhibits the same behavior, he quote unquote gets punished for it.
Well,
but he hasn't changed yet.
The issue is also that him getting punished for it is a kink of his.
Fair.
How about he gets punished for it by being locked away in prison?
We don't kink shame here, except for one.
Except for the guy where him getting punished is part of it. It's part of it.
Kink
no.
shaming is my kink.
If you want to get too real, if you want to get too real about it, like the fact that Shirahoshi says no, and the guy's like, guess you gotta die. It's like, and wondering why women are so scared to say no. It's like a perfect example of that whole situation.
Yeah.
But God, I love Shirahoshi. It's insane. The trope that I hate the most. And I love this character because she's willing to change, but it's almost like a situation where it's kind of like somebody just has to show her you can do that, right?
To me, that shows the strength of Luffy as a character. It's one of the reasons why, for the most part, I'm a big Superman fan for the most part. Like I don't read every trade or everything or every that, but in the sense of he's just this, and the way that I would ascribe him to Luffy is the sense of like, if you are just unwaveringly good and pure, you will change those around you. And we talk about it all the time where Luffy, if a bad guy or like if somebody that we're supposed to empathize with meets up with Luffy, they end up changing for the better. And we talk about it in the movies, we talk about it in the series too. And I feel like Luffy is this undeniable force for change and good. Yeah. And this is one of the best examples of it.
It's also just like, on top of that, it's just like, also, like, Luffy's not doing anything that's like, we never considered that before. Like, the people around Shirahoshi have been sheltering Shirahoshi. Like, she couldn't even go to her mom's funeral because they were too scared about Van Decken. Like, it's just like, it's like, they could have easily just got, like, there's no way Jinbei couldn't, like, knock all those weapons back, right? And, like, be able to let her go to pray to her mom's grave that she has never been to since she died because they were too scared of this, like, the potential threat. Like, the people around Shirahoshi who she knows and respects are also, like, continuing this ideal of, like, it's not safe. And then somebody like Luffy being like, okay, well, I'll just knock him back. Like, it's not a big deal. Like, how often does he send stuff? Like, every hour on the mark or every 2 hours? Once a day? We'll figure it out. It'll be fine. Anyway, let's go. Like, let's get out of here. And it's like such a simple ideal, and it's comically simple because it's like, why didn't I think of that? And it's just like the people around Shirahoshi perpetuating the same idea that they planted in her.
Well,
even
they're letting the creep decide what happens.
Yeah,
like,
but it's also
winning.
Yeah, it's also just like she knows what she wants, but she just hasn't ever had an opportunity to try to like do the action that she wants. Like, she wants to go see her mom's grave, but she's too scared. And Luffy is there to kind of like hold her hand, even though he would never. He was like, "You're a crybaby, like, get over it." But it's like his presence there is like a metaphor for holding her hand, basically, to get her to.
And also, this is Luffy who just defied the world. I mean, he'll do it again, and he'll do it in a heartbeat. But that's why I did it. But he, he essentially waged and fought this war and returned to that site very shortly after to pay respects to, I mean, ultimately it was to get a message to his crew, but it was to visit the grave, so to speak, of where Ace died. Yeah. And so he knows what sort of closure and help it can be. And to look at this girl who hasn't visited her mother's grave ever. Yeah. Especially with the way that she died. Like, Luffy, like, it's story convenience to do things, but to add those extra elements of minutia to where Luffy can understand these people on such a human level is remarkable.
It's also, this is just like, so everybody else can start talking about it, but the last thing I'll say on this is that also the way that Oda does it is that we don't know anything about Shirahoshi's mom at this point. We just know that Shirahoshi wants to go to like the underwater forest. And Luffy's like, okay, let's go. Like, that sounds fun. Let's do it. And then just like shoves her in a shark so that another problem is solved, where it's like, well, I can't let anybody know I'm sneaking out. Cool. Shark, open your mouth. But then it's like, we get to the forest and Shirahoshi now can visit her mother's grave. And while she is doing that, we now learn the importance of Shirahoshi's mom, because Jinbei is now like, hey man, good to see you. Sorry we had to meet up here. Stuff's pretty effed. Let me explain why it's effed. And like, only now are we, in order of timeline, are we learning about how Shirahoshi's mom died, who she was, why she's important, how all of that has spiraled.
Of, like, slavery and hatred towards fishmen.
The spiraling into the current day issues where they stem from. And then even from then, it goes even farther back. And like, you want to talk about daddies? Apparently, Jinbei was on a crew of daddies.
Bro,
like, I'm looking at Fisher Tiger, man. I'm looking at him.
Like, there a lot of things happen. We meet up with Jinbei again. We find Tom's brother, and Frankie gets a chance to like Like we don't even get that much of a thing.
I love it, though.
With Frankie and Tom's brother, but like, oh yeah, he lives here and he's helping us get the ship ready to go back to the surface.
No,
Cool.
I love when Luffy's like, "Hey, who's that on our ship? Get off our ship!" And he's like, "Nah, man, it's cool." And then Frankie's like, "Yeah, it's Tom's brother." And Luffy's like, "Oh, it's your dad's like something, something, something." And it's like quiet. And then Frankie's like,
Close enough.
"Exactly, yeah, close enough." And then Tom's brother being like, "What the fuck?
What is this crew?
What?
Who are
Hello?"
these people?
My absolute favorite is him meeting Frankie and being like, "Oh, this is my brother's boy, my nephew. I love him. He's great." And then seeing everybody else that he meets up with and being like, "Who are these freaks?" Like he meets Frankie first, and everybody that Frankie associates with is, "Who are these
He
freaks?"
sees Frankie and goes, I understand. But
Yeah.
then he looks at everybody else and is like, I don't.
What in the?
Why are you?
Hello?
Are these your
Oh.
friends? Did they sell you drugs?
I don't know if I
Hell is a
trust them.
reindeer?
So-
Yeah.
Who's this Tanuki? Who's this Tanuki of the Wanuki?
It's such a small interaction, but I love it. And they also use that as a way to explain that like fishmen aren't always like Arlong style or mermaid style. And like even within families, it can be split between like a fishman and
Yeah.
like a merman,
Mhm.
which I think is very interesting.
Tom's brother's design is very funny though. He's
Yeah.
he's very I could see him walking down Santa Monica Boulevard.
He honestly is designed it in such a way that I wonder if it's a reference to somebody that I'm not getting.
Honestly,
That
you're
could be
probably
something to look into.
Yeah, that's definitely it feels like it. What a character. What a,
So are we going to talk about daddies? So let's
oh,
talk about.
wait. Let me call out one thing while we're still on
Okay, I
Shirahoshi.
remember now.
Teehee?
So there's a part of this entire arc where Chopper is desperately trying to get Sanji to not look because
Oh yeah.
You could just kill him.
Chopper's just like, don't turn around. You'll die. You'll die if you turn around. Don't do it. Don't look behind you. You'll die. You'll explode. Just don't do it. Because Chopper knows that the moment Sanji lays eyes on Shirahoshi or any
Any mermaid.
mermaid,
blood
it's
loss.
over. It's
Yeah.
over. Okay, now we can. I just wanted to point out
Well,
that
like,
even
that-
Chopper
that
is very
presented-
aware of that.
That presented an opportunity for the audience to sympathize with the idea that fishmen and humans don't mix blood, despite it being the same
Literally.
blood that
Mhm.
that pumps through all of our veins. There are no transfusions that happen between quote unquote between the species, and they unfortunately they use Sanji, and they used it in a comedic way to set it up for the very serious thing to happen in this flashback where we learn about Fisher Tiger, who is hero among fishmen because he freed the slaves at Mary Joie.
Mm-hmm.
It's still weird for me to say it like that.
Marijoa.
Mary Joie. But
La Croix.
and formed this crew, the Sun Pirates, and it was and as similar as we learned with Boa Hancock and learned like a little bit from her in that arc that helped sort of tee this up, was that the sun tattoo was a way to cover up the brand of the celestial dragon. And so the sun became this big sort of symbol of freedom. And it remains to be to like until modern day One Piece. And
it was really smart how they did that though, when Luffy was like, "Oh, I've seen that symbol before," and then being like, "Oh, you know what? Now that I'm looking at it, actually no, it was reminding me of my friend Hachi and like his thing." And it's funny because for me, I did not see that at all. Like they were completely separate. They were completely separate symbols to me. So I'm glad that they like made a point to be like, "No, Molly, actually, it's the same symbol, but it's changed a little bit to help save people." And I also love just real quick that the whole point of like the Sun Pirates is that actually not everybody on that ship was a slave. Some people have the brand just to be like, you'll never be able to tell who was a slave and who wasn't a slave because we all have the same symbol
For solidarity.
Yeah, but I just
Absolutely.
love that. I love that entire. Like, really, though, it's like you're putting yourself on the line for these people that could be recaptured by helping like blur who was actually captured at some point.
That you know what that sun tattoo means? It means I'll never tell.
I'll never tell.
Oh my god.
I'll never tell.
In
See,
a very important geopolitical way, it means I'll never
I'll
tell.
never tell.
I
That's why I
can't-
love.
I
That's why
can't
Fisher
believe
King and
y'all.
Fisher Tiger and I like relate so much more because I
Oh my
get
God,
it. I
we
get
have
it
so
now.
much in common.
Oh my god, that's crazy.
It's crazy.
Oh my god. Too bad that he can never love humans, but Senpai noticed me.
And I guess the long and short of the Fisher Tiger story is we get to see the interactions between him and Arlong and Jinbei and Arlong, and where Arlong like slowly starts to be like, humans are bullshit, and we get this interaction with this freed girl. Hold on, I had it in my notes. Koala, this little girl koala who just can't, like, Fisher Tiger is trying his bloody hardest to just like break the cycle of no, you don't have to clean, just hang out here. Is like, or you'll kill me. No, we're not good. No, absolutely not. Like, this poor little girl and this cycle of violence and
Love her.
slavery. This was a great way to give us a character that unfortunately we will never see again. And I think like we've talked about like what sort of spin-off could we get after One Piece is done in 20 years?
Honestly,
And I would love it if we could follow more Fisher Tiger and the Sun Pirates.
Same hat. What I was like, if there was ever going to be a filler arc, right, that I would watch, if they had just like, for whatever reason, either they were catching up with Oda or they were just like, I don't know, we need to fill time this season. Let's just make up stuff about this like little girl and her adventures with Fisher Tiger and just whatever. Like, well, just whatever, it's fine. I would have eaten that up because it's just like I love all of these, like with Kaden and I reading the manga, all these panels of like of her helping carry groceries and like they're going past a winter island and they made snowman together and it's just like a bunch of like dudes who are like, we will never be dads and we especially won't be a dad to like a human.
Never be dads.
And then it's like, oops, all dads and daddies. Oops.
Can
you
Lost
believe it?
Boys, it's the Lost Dads.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. But I love it. And it's like it's like we were talking about how
so good.
they didn't achieve the same emotional the emotional statement they're trying to make in movie Z. They somehow, like, Oda achieved this emotional connection in this tiny little flashback story about like they did it. They actually got her back to where she needed to go. And like Tiger Fisher like basically like handed her off to her mom, like mission accomplished. They did it. They set out to do that and they did that. And then like just the way of the world where the kid that they just saved, they changed her mind on fishmen forever and we're like, I'm going to tell everybody that fishmen are good. Like maybe not all are good, but we shouldn't be biased and like stereotype every single fishman we meet because I know you guys are good. You guys are my friends. And her just being adamant about like, I'm going to tell everybody. And Fisher Tiger being like, okay, kid. And her being like, no, I'm going to tell everybody. And he's just like, oh, okay, kid. You know what I mean? Where it's like he's trying to leave and she's still yelling after him. And he's like, keeps turning around to wave goodbye and is laughing.
Thank you.
Like when they're walking to the island, like, I'll walk you home, kid. And she's like, I'll hold your hand. And he's like, no. It's like, yeah. And he's like, well, whatever.
The fact that they like showed her all like messed up and everything, and then like they're just like, oh hey, look at you clean up, you cleaned up nice. You look at she's all awkward and stuff. This is One Piece though.
It's One Piece though.
This is One Piece though.
I thought this was Naruto.
No, God, no. So here's my thing here. All right, here's my issue here. Okay,
Oh.
here's my fish shoe, so to speak.
Oh, come on.
I can't possibly see a world where we don't see her again.
Just
Yeah, that's a good thought.
Yeah. All right. Your silence is telling.
Hit a
What?
mute because
Tell though.
I was just about to say you guys didn't hear that. I just muted to burp really loud.
It's just there's so much like there. Okay. There's so much there specifically
There's so
in
much
that
there.
in that interaction. In that interaction, which again is mirrored at the end of this arc with the whole like. Can I actually? Yeah, wait, whatever. We're talking.
I mean, if we're still within like the confines of the beginning and end of this arc, I'd say
Yeah.
it's fine.
Then it's like the mirroring of the whole the blending of bloods thing actually happens, and in a huge thing, it's like, but it's against the rules, and it's Jinbei's just like, I'm Jinbei.
Mhm.
You
Listen
want to
to
say
me.
no?
The rules
Do
are
you want to
dumb.
say no? And then
Well-
of course, Luffy's just like, it's like, there it is. It's like, haha, Jinbei. It's like, you are awake, you little brat.
Yeah.
But
But
like,
it's also like just real quick, the whole point of Jinbei and everything that we learned about Jinbei and everything he's been doing for the sake of this island is that the reason he is a pirate is that he can be like, oh, Jinbei, don't do it. It's like, oh no, what are they gonna do? Arrest me? Are they gonna arrest me for Marineford too? It's kind of like, yeah, shut up. He can do what he wants. All right, that's why they call him boss.
oh no, I'm in trouble in Fishman Island. You're all
Marines wanna get
guppies
me.
to me. I
Oh
can eat
no!
you. All right.
My entire career as a pirate. Oh no! They're gonna
my
get me for
God.
this.
Oh no, they're gonna get me for a parking ticket. I'll eat my car and then you.
And
All right?
Jinbei's
Better.
blood transfusion thing is a thing to like come full circle of the reason why Fisher Tiger isn't still alive
Yeah.
is that no humans, despite the kindnesses that he's shown to try to bridge the societies, no humans would give him a blood transfusion, and
Well,
so
not
he
even-
died.
Not even that. They're on the ship and they're like, "Come on, Captain. There's plenty of islands
Oh,
around
that's right.
here. We'll get blood for you." And he's just like, "No." He's like, "I tried. My whole life, I tried." And this person who is like was a slave and has seen the real evil of men and tried to overlook it, tried to overcome it, done his best on his own part, and at the end of his life was just like, "I can't love humans. I can't do it. Don't put that poison in me." And it's just this, like, nobody on the crew had a similar blood type too. So it's just kind of like the irony of just like, I would rather die than have that swill in me because of my experiences. And even after I thought I had overcome this feeling that I've had with this child that we've rescued, the second that mission was done, turn around and the evils of men are there once more.
Yep.
And it's just kind of like,
Yeah, you
God.
nailed it.
Yeah. And then now seeing the split between the crew of the final moments of their captain and being like, what do we do? And Jinbei being like, we're going to keep doing what we've always done. And then after Arlong gets arrested and broken out of jail because Jinbei is now playing by his own rules, which is become a warlord, like protect the island from outside forces and the Marines. And Arlong being like, nah, I heard that the only thing I ever heard was Fisher King like validating my point of view, and that is all humans are scum. Why don't I just like tip the power balance and be like humans, but like let us be on top? And goes to
Oppression,
the East Blue.
but me this time.
Yeah, and it's just very interesting on this crew of divided opinions and seeing what happens when a person who's trying to be better can't overcome their trauma and ordeals and dies with that thought process, like spilling all the tea right before you die, and then seeing the people on that crew. Because Arlong goes to jail, and so Jinbei has like Hachan and the other guys that we meet in Arlong Park on his crew
Aladdin.
still.
But he's also got like Arlong Park. Those guys are in jail too. Hachan wasn't Hachan the only one that escaped, because I don't remember seeing.
No. Sorry, I'm
or-
talking about past contents when
Okay.
Fisher King. Sorry, I
King-
keep saying Fisher King.
Fisher Tiger.
Fisher Tiger. I keep wanting to say Fish King, which is a restaurant here in California. When he died, Jinbei took over the crew, but Arlong went to attack the Marines and got arrested. And then when Jinbei becomes a warlord, one of his like things of like, I'll be a warlord if you get this guy out of jail. And so he frees Arlong, and when Arlong gets out of jail, he goes to the crew and is like, this is crap. Don't follow Jinbei. We heard what Fisher Tiger said in his last breath, and follow me. And so the crew splits, where basically the people who agree with Arlong go with Arlong to the East Blue. The rest of them continue to be the Sun Pirates, which Jinbei still commands to this day.
Well, also in a way, Arlong also resents Jinbei for making a deal with the Marines who betrayed their former captain. So it's like it's all the threads that tie together here are so cool.
It's just like a bad situation where it's like, yeah, it's not great, right? It's like, but Jinbei is like mature enough to realize he needs to play by these rules to keep the islands, to keep his the residents safe. It's like there's only so much that King Neptune can do because they also don't go to the revelry every year.
Yeah,
or the Levelly, and it's just like
that pronunciation still gets me to this day.
I think of it as like a revelry, like a party. Like we're gonna
It's a meeting of like all of the nation's leaders in Marijois to sort of discuss law, and I guess not that one, but like Law and Order. Dun dun,
dun dun.
So speaking of that. We learn about Otohime, Queen Otohime, trying to
love her too,
push for integration, and not just integration, but fulfilling this promise that we hear about from a guy in the Void Century named Joy Boy, who wanted to bring Fishman Island to the surface to properly integrate with they don't have to have their own space. They're a part of the world. Everybody's a part of the world. And then we also find out that because Joy Boy died, he couldn't fulfill that promise. But someone will. Here's my giant ship, Noah. This giant ark that's I think the largest ship, like ship as opposed to what was Gecko Moria's island? Because that was an island as opposed to this. This is an actual ship.
Thriller Bark.
Yes, Thriller Bark.
So question. We talked about a lot of different characters and a lot of different things that happen, a lot of themes and everything like that. I want to throw us all the way back to the beginning of this arc for just a moment.
Yeah, please.
We got there, we landed, yada yada yada, and it's like, check out this place. It's the Mermaid Cafe. We go inside, and there is a giant shark woman. She's like 20 feet tall. She's a giant shark woman.
Big woman.
Named Charlie.
Madam Charlie.
I was wondering when we were going to hear.
And I love her. That's I have nothing else to say about her. I love her. What an immaculate design. Just really fun. Just a really fun and just really... She's a shark. She's a shark. All right?
She's Hodie's sister.
No, Arlong's sister.
Arlong's sister, excuse me.
How dare you? How dare you?
Yeah, not Hodie, the other bad one.
The other one that was bad, but the better fight.
Got him.
It's like, and she's just such a fun character because she kind of sets off the whole thing, actually. Like, her one little thing is just like, I had a vision that, Straw Hat Luffy was going to ruin everything.
The vision was specifically that somebody in a man with a straw hat.
A man with a straw
fire.
hat. Right. A man with a straw hat is going to... It's like, she looked in her crystal ball, straw hat, Fishman Island destroyed. That's the whole thing. And that sets off it's gotta be Straw Hat Luffy.
They're like, that's crazy because Straw Hat Man, the guy who's known for his straw hat, just showed up. Crazy.
Straw showed up. And it kicked off this entire thing. And her whole thing at the end is just like, you know what? If any prediction was going to be wrong, I'm glad this one was wrong. And I'm just sitting there just like, don't say that. It's not wrong. It's just the wrong dude.
Or it's the wrong time.
It's the wrong time.
We coming back to Fishman Island, baby.
Return to Fishman Island.
In another
gonna take us
200 episodes.
Yeah, no, like another 500 chapters.
The finale of the show. The One Piece is on Fishman Island.
We have to go past the One Piece, loop back around to the Blues, and then just get back on the Red Line, and then it's like you gotta take the 134 to the 5, so you get to the 2.
Straw Hat Luffy, what are you doing here?
The One Piece is Buggy's nose.
Oh God, he had it this whole time.
Oh my God,
he didn't know.
He didn't know. Yeah, I don't know.
We did it,
but
everybody.
We kind of like we went back, we yeeted to Charlie, and I want to go back to Shirahoshi's mom because I love this woman. I love that she is so weak that she will slap somebody for the good of themselves and break her hand. But she's
Yeah.
like, I had to do it because you must learn that you are a fool. And it's like, I respect this woman entirely.
Ah, gosh.
This woman is a mom, and I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Like, this is every once in a while we'll hit sort of like the flashback part of an arc or a saga, and it'll be like, oh, I just want to get back. Like you mentioned with the Fisher Tiger part, like both of these flashbacks to me are immaculate. Of like these are very like the arguably the most like well placed historical pieces of historical information that we need for this arc and moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
And I just love it, and it gives us an opportunity to see Borsellino and in the case of Arlong and Fisher Tiger, and then also we get a sort of a recontextual. It's been 2 years, but a recontextualization of just how bad firsthand in like interaction with celestial dragons are.
Yeah, that, and it's another thing that we just did with Sabo, where it's like, I love this guy. I'm greatly concerned that we've never heard of this guy before, and like and haven't seen him, and Luffy's never mentioned him before, and all that stuff. It's like kind of can read between the lines of why we don't, and then the very end of like, oh god, he died. And here too, where I'm like, I love her so much. But the first thing we see about her is her grave, and I'm like,
That's not good.
I wonder what happened.
Seeing her struggle and her ideals on top of Fisher Tiger's whole thing, and understanding 2 points of views, 2 different types of people going about the same thing, and then suddenly a celestial dragon shows up and just being absolutely terrified because they're like, oh god, like just leave him alone, like this guy just showed up, maybe he'll leave, and then being like, hey, where's the queen? And everyone being like, no, and knowing she's running to like talk to this guy, it was so scary for me. I was just like, please don't let this be what happens. Like, please, 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 please. Like, we just went through this on Shibodi, and I'm like really scared, and I don't like it. And then just like again, somebody with the ability to change others, and like having this situation where she understands what a celestial dragon is, what it means to be a celestial dragon, understands the power of the government, and taking that opportunity to be like, I'm going to go talk to these guys and see what's up, and just being terrified for her, not knowing if she's going to return, like not knowing if like she can move people to like change, because she's been doing it this whole time, and people are like, hey, remember when I wrote my signature down? Can I take it back? Like stuff like that. You know what I mean? It's just kind of like, I was so scared for her in this moment. And then Mama comes back victorious, baby. Mama got a document, baby.
Yo, I got this paperwork.
And everyone was like, damn.
And we, I mean, I guess like Hody's like motivations end up getting called into question because we see that he finds the filthy human that ended up shooting her, and you're like, well, this is a bad setup. You know, we already know at this point that Hody Jones is the main antagonist of this arc. So what could this possibly mean? Are we supposed to feel any sort of remorse? No. No. Oops.
Ooh. Oh no, the best part is that when Hody's done and being like, yeah, I got their butts kicked. Where are they now? And it's like, well, you'll never believe what happened after all that drug use. And a prison full a prison full of grandpas I'm not interested in.
Unwanted prison grandpas.
Yeah.
The arc.
It's just I also appreciate too the whole kind of like just all of the morals come into question of people's motivations and things like that, and people being like, the queen was killed by a human pirate, and people struggling to not have bias towards those people because of that. And even the lead up to this fight, which is like really the most important part, not that they kicked everybody's butts, but like the fact that everyone was like, huh? They're gonna fight for Fishman Island? But I thought they were bad. Charlie, you said that they were bad. And then Luffy being like, man, you're gonna have to figure that, like, sounds like you have to do homework and you have to figure out if we're good or bad.
Problem.
And it's like really, it's like just shut up and watch. And it's really this moment of like, we'll take care of it for you guys, but like make up your own opinion for like do your own homework, idiot. And this just like, and then we find out that it's like, you thought it was a dirty human? Fools! I will take the credit that I deserve. I killed the queen. It was I, and I blamed it upon a human. And everyone's like, no!
Wait a minute.
No! I can't believe I spent like, I don't know, maybe like 10, 20 years. Oh, I spent 20 years hating humans! And it's like, it's so interesting though. I don't know. Again, I'm going to segue for a hot second because it's like people who are like, oh, gee, like all sweaty and be like, oh, I thought pirates were awful and hateful. And oh no, I don't know how I, did this awaken something in me? I don't know how I feel about this. But then it's like, I know for a fact that they've met the Whitebeard pirates because Whitebeard put his flag on that island to protect them before he died. So I know that they would have been able to make up their own mind about humans and pirates at some point, the people who have interacted with Whitebeard, but it's just kind of like, as a whole, the island is like, oops, were we biased against all human pirates? Oops.
Well, I mean, like it feels, I mean, it's something that you can hear us talk about in our Film Zed review of like, oh, too real. But this notion of a younger generation latching on to the wrong thing and perpetuating it. Yeah. And like the will of Arlong, quote unquote, not being the best thing, but somehow it like people saying the right things and it attaching itself to this young generation. And it's sort of visually represented when the new Fishman pirates all end up being old and gray because like, oh, you're just as bad and like
you're reflecting the older generation.
Exactly. And so like this isn't change. This is the same old crap that people have been dealt year after year, and we let it be perpetuated because you were able to appeal to the darkest side of us and how successful they were. But now the society of Fishman Island being able to turn around from that and be like, oh no, no, absolutely not. We are not going to be associated with those killers and murderers. Yeah, that got a little too real.
I'm like immediately thinking about, I don't know, maybe May of 2020.
Go on.
Thinking about a very specific movement about Black Lives Matter and how it reflects perfectly on this arc about, like, yeah, I know racism is bad, but did I know it gets that bad? And am I gonna be moved to do something about it? It's just, again, Oda is just kind of like too real at all times.
Timely and timeless again.
The themes in history will continue to repeat itself, and we're just along for the ride.
Leadership by fear isn't leadership. It's fuckery.
Yeah.
And it keeps happening over and over again.
Crazy.
It's almost like the themes of this manga at its core consistently speak to a lot of issues in society that happen worldwide all the time, and we could look back into our history and see where things went wrong and see where we can change and see where we can do better. But never mind, because that's inconvenient.
If only we could look past the rubber man portion. Maybe we could learn something from anime.
Here's
okay. You just gotta stop crying and do something about it.
This literally speaks to something that they kind of talk about a little bit at the end of this arc. They gloss over it, but it's super important in a lot of different ways. They erased 100 years of history. It just doesn't exist.
Oops.
Just it's gone. Hey, 100 years. I don't know where it went. The Donkey Kong like pose from Smash Brothers comes to pay. Comes
it's like the Library of Alexandria.
Yeah, it's just like, it's just gone. all the knowledge gone. And what happens? What happens if you take a look at things? Why is 100 years of history just gone? It's
I'll never
because
tell.
it threatened something or someone who was way too high in power, and they're like, this is all gotta go.
I mean, I'm pretty
This
high.
is gotta go.
Speaking of history, I mean, as anybody who's like had a decent world history course or, you know, even American history, the winner gets to tell the story.
History is written by the victors.
Yeah.
Which is
exactly.
why there's 100 freaking years missing.
Is this the first time we get the mention of the Void Century?
No, doesn't Robin mention it in like Skypiea?
Yeah, there's some teases of that, but then like Robin's just like, hey, so I read your giant rock, and so they're like,
Well,
you
yeah,
can
no, 'cause
read that?
Isn't that why they destroy O'Hara? Is because they know about, or they can, no, I think it's just because they can read the poneglyphs and could find out about the Void Century.
They're like, we very specifically have put Latin in the do not speak it, do not remember it category. And then, oops, somebody figured it out. And it's like the Rosetta Stone of like, no, we don't, we'll just take them out or whatever.
Caden, I want to ask specifically because you mentioned that Oda's telling a global story. Does that make him Mr. Worldwide?
If it weren't for the fact that we're hitting a year of podcasting with this, I would get up and go right now.
Oh no!
Oh, I did it. I found it. I found the button.
She's used to it now.
Pitbull jokes. That'll do it.
The fact that I saw a Pitbull meme while we've been talking about Fishman Island really sells this. I have not thought about Pitbull in so long, and the fact that you brought it up maybe 30 minutes after I saw an image of him is insane to me.
Mark, you're on fire today. Could say you're a fireball.
It's just that is so, that whole thing, that void century, that section of time that doesn't exist anymore, speaks so much without saying anything. Like, as far as now, I don't know anything about it. But the fact that there is a gap of 100 years and it's becoming more and more and more talked about, and I'm going to say something about that stuff in the spoiler section because
you have your own section for that.
I have my own section.
But the fact that exists and is something that is so prevalent and like is becoming one of the core like moments of One Piece, especially for like Robin, because Robin's on this search for why did everything happen to the people who can read the poneglyphs? It's like the people who are studying all this. Why? For what reason? I need to know. And it's at its core going to just like it has all these like waves of, like the fact that like it's just like, oh, you can read that. It's like just immediately the king of Fishman Island is like, whoa.
You can read that and you're walking around out of doors? Arrest her.
You're outside? This is bad. Hey, you know what? Here's a bunch of stuff. Here, have gold. Take all of this stuff. You can go now. Go ahead. Please leave. Please get out of here. But it's such a moment that anytime that section of history is brought up, everybody gets tense. Yeah. It's like, huh.
Well, it must not be named century, really, because it's just like, I'm sure that it's associated with a lot of like.
But why? But why?
The government say no.
Right, the government says no. What is the government trying to protect?
One of the things we learned from Film Zed is that the government knows that,
the government lies.
Yeah, from daily life is that the government tells the world things to maintain a certain status quo. Something happened in the again, we still don't know, Caden. Like if I'm being completely honest, we still don't know what the Void Century is, and everybody's still trying to find out. But if I had my druthers, just because the Marines are trying to cover it up, that means that something happened that would put the control of the Marines and the Celestial Dragons into question.
Yeah, change opinions.
Like there isn't really a concept of war crimes in the world of One Piece, but I imagine a lot of them happened in that century.
There isn't a concept. It's just a vague, sense of things.
Yeah, there's honor and like, the the role you have to play as a pirate or marine and right and wrong, but there isn't like a Hague. There's nothing to like.
The world government is in control of the supposedly impenetrable prison in the world.
And so
Allegedly.
So if the world government is in control of everything and there just so happens to be 100 years missing and everybody's like, well, we're not going to look into that. And you kind of think for 2 seconds. You don't even need to think that hard. It's like, wonder why the world government doesn't want us to look into those 100 years specifically. I wonder what could be about those 100 years specifically that the world government and the celestial dragons don't want us to look into. Maybe because they're bull.
No. What if it? I got Molly's theory time. What if, much like Turning Red, that was their cringe period, and they don't.
Molly,
they don't
embrace cringe. You know this.
They embraced their cringe for a century. Like,
I know that they're the ones who are trying to black out their DeviantArt account and their fanfet.net account.
Committing war crimes on DeviantArt.
You know what? It's fine. We were all 14 once, and we all drew Cloud and Sephiroth fan art, and it might have gotten just like them holding hands.
Privacy.
I feel us I feel us rounding down this arc, and I just want to like really quick just throw out stuff that I liked in this arc before I forget.
Please, no, absolutely.
I love when they get to Fishman Island, which was supposed to be like, yeah, we're gonna hang out with Cammy and the starfish guy and Jinbei. We're gonna have a fun time with Hachan, and like we get to Fishman Island, and all of those times that the starfish guy, which I just don't remember his name right now, that he was like, yeah, I'm. Maybe you didn't recognize me. I'm wearing sunglasses. Kind of a big deal. And it's like we get to Fishman Island and he's actually like the Armani of Fishman Island.
Yeah, his fashion line, Crimin. And we see a lot of those shirts in actually the anime and the manga, and then a lot of manga chapter covers. Oda will just put people in that brand. It really, honestly, you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of Splatoon fashion, where like the made up brands they have for those clothes. So I want to talk about that. And then I love that like they met up with Luffy and they met up with Jinbei, and Luffy's like, are we done talking? Okay, I'll go take care of it. And Jinbei like being like, Luffy, did you hear anything I just said? I know it's been 2 years and I forgot how you're like, but like this and that. And then they just like get into a fist fight. And like they punch Sanji. And then the last thing with this is that the Noah ship gets involved in this fight because I don't know, Vanderdecken is such a drama queen, and I think it's very interesting that the Sea Kings not only move it to prevent it from crushing the island, but they're also like, yeah, we'll fix it later. Like, yeah, it's not broke. I mean, it's not completely wrecked, but it's broken. So I don't know. We'll get some band-aids.
Keep in mind, this ship is like the size of Fishman Island. Like, there's a few wide shots of them side by side, and it's just enormous.
And it's also, isn't it also made from the same wood as the Thousand Sunny?
It's
Adam's
made
wood?
from Eve.
Interesting.
Or no, Eve is the sunlight tree that gives them sunlight underwater. Adam is, yeah, you're right. Yeah. Sorry.
So I just think it's interesting that they're like, it's too expensive to completely destroy. We'll just fix it later. Like, and just kind of like, okay, see ya. And we start getting these like instances of Luffy yelling out into the void like a grandpa, being like, who was there? Hey, who's talking? Get off my lawn. And everyone's like, Luffy, you good? You good? And him being like, no, there's somebody out there talking shit. And then like we're like, okay, Luffy, like that's okay. All right, man.
Yeah, and it's sort of a thing that we saw him in one of the filler arcs we didn't talk about, of him being able to hear more like Kobe. It seems he can hear things like Isa, that's who it was in Skypiea, who can like hear the animals and things like that. This is another, seems to be another form of hockey that Luffy seems to have.
The mantra or whatever it was.
Yeah, whatever it ends up being called. Yeah. There's so many things.
And then the last thing I want to talk about is that my man my daddy,
Momo?
Jimbei,
Oh.
my papa Jimbei, rocking a fucking weed like robe. Like he's got. Tell me that the pattern on his kimono is not weed. It looks like weed.
I
It's
gotta
so
look it
funny
up.
to me. Oh my god! It
Is
looks
that a
like,
weed?
Is that a weed? I'm calling the police.
I like that's my big finish is
I had to make sure. We
Jinbei's got
talked
a
about.
weed on his shirt.
Yes, hang on. I'll put it in the Discord.
Does Jinbei have a weed?
Weed here?
Yeah, I guess the fulfillment of that storyline with Vanderdecken is he's like, all right, I'm gonna kill everybody, and so he uses his ability to send Noah to both destroy Fishman Island and kill Shirahoshi by crushing everything. And before it has the ability to do that, he gets betrayed by Hody and gets stabbed. Hopefully never to return, because F that guy.
Well, it's the same. Again, we just talked about it, but it's just like that same energy of like, yeah, our interests are aligned. What's your end game here? I'm gonna kill everybody because this chick won't date me, and being like, all right, I see now that our allegiance must come to an end because I live here. Like
This
just
plan
crap
was
like
flawed.
it's the world-ending aspect that I never understand with villains, because in my mind, it's like your end game should be world conquering, because it's like, I don't know. I don't never understand the like, no, we're gonna kill everybody. Everybody? You live here too, idiot. Like
Everybody includes you. No.
It's a narcissist with powers. Like they don't care what happens to anybody else.
I can't relate.
Isn't that most like of the
Men?
worst villains? No, we're not generalizing.
Okay.
Most of the worst villains are that narcissistic, I'm just going to destroy everything. And it's just like, you're a part of everything when you
You're
say
a
that.
part
You're
of the everything.
the whole everything. It's like, and then I will rule all. It's like, yeah, but you just said you're going to destroy everything. If there's nothing here, what are you ruling? Also, you're dead. It's nothing. It's just narcissistic nonsense.
What's that blue guy in
Sonic.
Watchmen?
Oh.
No.
Dr. Manhattan.
Sonic.
Where he's just like
Dr.
hanging
Sonic.
out by himself.
Sonic.
That's just what it's gonna be, baby. It's just a barren wasteland, and being
I
like,
tire of these humans.
yeah, I tire of these humans,
Sonic
but
the
I'm still
Hedgehog.
Sometimes you're just an ethereal, like, tall, all blue entity with your dong flipping out in the wind on Mars, being just like, what is the point of anything?
Goals, am I right?
clip that.
Man, there's a great
And
place
save.
to pivot. Hey, let's talk about so like we have this giant battle at like of all of the things that I was expecting from Chopper, I wasn't expecting Kung Fu Point, and it's one of my favorite things
Yes.
that we
So
got
good.
from post time skip
He's
Chopper.
a reindeer bowling ball with huge biceps.
Guard Point is amazing. And that was actually one of my favorite parts of Film Zed that I didn't talk about when we recorded it. Him being able to control Monster Point with a rumble ball is the new hotness.
So, like, and he's so cute about it. He's like, oh, you guys. And he's so giant.
big now.
He's
It's
like, no,
very
don't be
cute.
scared. I'm just a cryptid.
Scared, woo.
That was the one thing.
Compliment me, it makes me mad.
I'm so shy.
That's the other thing, actually, because we were just watching the movie with the kung fu ability. I didn't realize he made noises, because in the manga he's just kind of like ba, 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 ba,
Bruce
and
Lee,
then,
baby.
yeah, and in the show they actually do like the hi-ya, hi-ya, and it's like that's
The whole Bruce Lee, like, after action of his punch, he has to let it cool down.
yeah.
So good. Like,
that's the best way to describe that.
like there's so many evolutions of power that are like, oh, that's cool, oh, that's hype, oh, that's whatever. But Chopper, like, I mean, Iron Pirate General Frankie is so rad, and I love it so much.
Radical beam, even.
And absolutely, and it's just like you didn't even do, like, you got out of the cockpit to do that. What are you? But all of Chopper feels like he has even further growth to do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, he's Whittle. He's like the youngest of our crew.
He's a widow baby.
He's whittle, but also big, and then also big.
It's like I feel like Chopper's goal, right, is to be very like he looks to make sure Zoro is watching him, but he's also comparing his growth to Zoro, and in the 2 years he's grown for sure, but he's still not to that Zoro level of. I mean, and Zoro of course also is improving at the same time, so it's like further and further, but also the same pace or whatever. But I just love like him being like, check this out, and Zoro being like, incredible, you're a man now, and then him being like, and like Zoro being like that proud either older brother or dad in the background, like nodding, like slow nod. It's like, oh, you actually got the most elusive thing, dad's approval.
Zoro looking over, that's my boy.
And
Chopper being like,
oh my god.
We've got so like as a quick thing of like power and how people have grown. Luffy using Haki was sort of like the big highlight until he used Red Hawk.
Yeah.
Using Armament Haki, a combination of Armament Haki and Gear Second to heat his blood up so much to where he can sprout fire even underwater.
He can combust air. Like any oxygen near his hand,
it's
lights
awesome.
on fire.
It felt like a movie moment of, well, we're never going to see this moment. We're going to never see this ability again. This was like a one-shot thing, but whew.
Before we started, I was explaining to Al about how when I drink cold brew, it's basically like year 2 happening, but it doesn't stop, and I have hummingbird heart. And so I just imagine like now knowing that there's also like a step up from that. And me being on the ground shaking and like in gear 2, but then also suddenly it's like, she'll be fine. She just needs to like drink some water and like hang out until her heartbeat calms. And it's like you guys look over and then I just start on fire. And it's like, oh god.
If Molly has like a doserita, but it's cold brew and Red Bull,
oh god.
That's her
die.
Oh my god.
My heart stops.
And like that moment, that move, Red Hawk is such a cool tribute, and I hope that it's something that continues from here on out.
It's great because Sanji's got hot foot and now Luffy got hot hand.
Right, so we don't need Sanji.
So we don't need Sanji anymore. Yeah.
We've grown past him.
So Sanji's going to get kidnapped and then we're just not going to rescue him.
We figure out Robin can just clone herself now, like whole copies instead of just arms.
So good.
And big, like she used her hands to prevent the ship from crashing in the beginning.
Big leg, big arm.
Big.
We've got Frankie. We had the reveal of the vehicles, the Brachio tank, the motorcycle, the chopper.
No,
Robin
Chopper's
cloning
been here
herself.
for a while. What are you
Yeah,
talking
you're right. I knew you were going to do it. To get Sanji out of the way, his hot foot is hotter, and he can skywalk like CP9.
Oops.
Usopp upgrading his slingshot and now using pop greens super liberally, and just like his arsenal has gotten so much more like reckless in the best possible way.
It's again, listen to our movie episode, but it's something that they put in context in the movie where it's like, yeah, he's using them more liberally, but he has like a guard. He has a because it's plants.
Talk about his garden.
But it's like because it's plants, he can. It's easier for him to regain ammo.
Yeah,
because
the Thousand Sunny has grass on it. It has the little planter up top.
And Mikens and stuff like that. But it's like he can easily just grow those now instead of having to sit and like make bullets and like prep all his stuff. But he still does to a degree. Like exactly. What are you, a house mom?
Yo, I'm gonna buy these eggs and then nobody eat them, please. That'd be great. Thank you.
Don't look at the eggs. Don't look at them. Don't speak to them.
No look egg.
I'm still thinking about Logetown when Sanji's like, it's Usopp. What's Usopp doing in the market? And being like, whoa, these eggs are so cheap. What are you, a housewife? Brooke.
Yes, Brooke, he can disconnect his soul from his body when soul leaves body, as opposed. And he uses his musical ability to sort of hypnotize and like make people fall asleep before killing them. So that's just kind of like a nice way to go.
He was like, man, I would have really liked to have died in my sleep.
Hashtag just Jigglypuff things.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh my
Jigglypuff mains for
God.
life, am I right?
Jiggly bones.
I've never
Nami,
made that connection before, Kaden.
upgraded the
Holy
climate
crap.
attack.
Listen. One of the things that I really want to do is next time we're able to do a filler episode of Yayo Talk Show is I want to
let's
sit
go.
down and I want to build teams of Pokemon for the Straw Hat.
Oh, that
Crew.
sounds awesome.
That's cute.
Something I really want to do, and it's all thematic. It's
Like
gotta
gym
be-
leader style?
It's like gym leader style, but it's all about like theming. Honestly, more champion style. Like
Okay.
each Pokemon means something to that person. It doesn't have to be a specific type. It doesn't have to be a specific thing, but it's just about what like the heart and soul of the Pokemon itself, and it's being in simpatico with the trainer, a la one of the Straw Hat crew.
Rad.
Mhm.
That sounds great.
I'm on board.
And Zoro is stronger. Anyway, moving on.
Zoro got one less eye, but it's
He
basically
cut
the same.
He's faster and stronger, and like this arc doesn't necessarily show everything that he can do. He's always been able to take out waves of people really
Yeah,
easily.
he's just bigger, faster, and stronger too. He's the next member of the Straw Hat crew.
Well, and he's like, hockey? What's that? Like, we don't see exactly what that means.
More
yet.
people are able to identify what hockey is, which is great, and hopefully means that they're going to start developing those skills now that they can see it.
Talking about how, some information that got glossed over, something I wish Oda would have like finished doing is like having the crew be like, here's where I was for 2 years. Where were you guys? And this and that. But the scene in the beginning where Zoro and Luffy tune out of whatever they're talking about, I think basically getting to Fishman Island, and Luffy and Zoro like hang out on the railing of the ship drinking coffee or tea, and they're like, so where were you for 2 years? Well, I was like, but it's like a over the shoulder thing. They don't fully go into it. And I'm like, I want to hear Zoro talk about Mihawk, because there's no way Luffy didn't laugh at him for like the irony of that situation.
Isn't that the guy that almost killed you?
Hey,
Hey, isn't that the guy that you swore you would beat, who sliced you and
Hey,
gave you a giant scar?
That's how it works. You train your successor, which means that it's like Mihawk's just like, you're the person who's going to be taking my spot. And Zoro's like, that means I'm going to kill you. And Mihawk like, yes, that's the intent. I want you to kill me, all right? The whole point is I get to take a nap.
I'm paying your rent right now, so remember that.
Yeah, but no,
Just remember,
I'll do
this
it.
is a promise. You said you would do it.
I was thinking about this morning, actually, as I do, because my brain will do what it wants. But I was thinking about how in the very first half of One Piece, like, Shanks sets Luffy on a path. And we've seen a couple times, especially after Mihawk met Luffy, where Mihawk went out of his way to find Shanks to let him know, like, yo, Luffy's launched, and, like, I also met the kid that, like, took your arm, or that you invested your arm in the East Blue. So he is aware... Mihawk is aware of Shanks' connection to Luffy. And then this idiot just ends up on his island, Zoro. And he's like, oh, is this what Shanks felt? I'm adopting him. And you know what? I'm going to do Shanks better. I'm going to adopt Perona as well.
I'm a
And I'll
dad
have two
now.
kids.
Yeah.
And now I have two kids on Shanks instead of his one kid.
That's the whole thing, is like everybody gets together. It's like they have a whole banquet. It's like, all right, we're gonna it's like, this is the night where we all get together. We put all, we bury the hatchet, not literally, put that down. We're all just gonna talk about stuff. And then Mihawk's, just like leans over. It's like, hey, Shanks, your kid doing pretty good. I have two kids and they're both doing fantastic. And then just walks away and is like, and Shanks is like, that I'm happy for you. What? Why did you walk away? We could have kept talking.
Wait, I have photos. Come back.
Come on, let's trade information. Here's my kid when he was really tiny. Do you have pictures of yours when they were small? No, I don't take pictures of my kids. That's stupid.
I just remember them with my photogenic
oil
memory.
paintings.
Immediately pulls out the Den Mushi. Give me pictures of both of you. I need to humble brag.
I love, because we're talking about growth here, right? I feel like the growth here is that Mihawk, before the time skip, I don't think he would ever consider training Roronoa. I feel like he would be like, yeah, I can't wait for this kid to show up one day and try to kill me. That'll be fun. I'm excited for that. Because I'm bored right now. I'm so bored right now. I'm literally just like I went back to the beginning of the video game to kill like level 1 people because I'm so bored. And then him,
There's
the
an anime
reason why,
about that.
yeah, but it's like the reason why I'm like, I don't feel like he would do this because he gives himself this situation where if he sees Shanks again and Shanks realizes his connection to Zoro, there's no way Shanks is never going to shut up about it. But it's like at the same time, he's like, I'm dad now. Like I am.
I have
not only am
become
I
daddy.
not only am I dad
Become
now.
raiser of kids.
Yeah, it's like not only am I dad now, but like also dad of 2, not even dad of 1. I'm gonna step up. And like not even, it's like somebody who adopted, but like adopted a teenager too. Like he adopted 2 teenagers instead of like 1 child. Anyway, I think
They
about
live
that a
in
lot.
abandoned spirit of Halloween.
Anyway, I think about that a lot. Is Molly's modus operandi?
Do you think Oda will find the time to show that interaction? Because it keeps me up at night.
I hope
There's
so.
got to be some. I guess we've talked about this before, but we still don't know what Zoro's eye is about. So there,
Yeah.
at some
Oh, I
point,
know.
there has to be.
We text. I know what it's about.
We
told me.
text.
No, it's like, well, I mean, we've talked about it a little bit, Al, but we just haven't gotten confirmation yet. But when Zoro decides, oh, I need to be here for 2 years, so I'm going to hang around. What can I do for 2 years? Oh, I know. I'll get this guy who is like my sworn enemy to train me. And that'll be like, that's really like big brain thinking. But in that moment, much like we saw in Logetown, where Zoro, he's like, oh, cursed sword, huh? Bet. And
Sounds
like
fun.
throws the sword up and holds his arm out to see, like, let's see if, like this sword respects me or whatever. He takes the little dagger from Mihawk and is just like, bet, and throws it up. And we don't ever see the outcome of that. But now we know that there's a little line across Zoro's eye. And I'm going to connect the dots there and make that canon.
Oops.
Also, how funny would that be, though? It's like, it's a small little knife, and he stabbed Zoro with it. And, like, can you imagine him being like, this is going to be so cool? And it's like, he's like...
If you
he
don't
gives
use
himself-
hockey, I'm going to stab you in the eye.
like-
What?
You have 3 seconds. 1, 2.
specifically throws the tiniest knife, and he's like, this is going to be so cool. And he still walks away with, like, a scar on his eye. Idiot.
I was gonna say, do you remember? This is such a stupid freaking. Do you remember
Yeah.
that scene from Spider-Man where Aunt May throws the banana at Peter? That's it. It's like, I've
This
been
is going to
training.
be so cool.
I've been training Roronoa Zoro for a
Oh
while.
my God.
I'm gonna throw this knife and he's gonna catch it. It's going to be incredible. Thunk! Ah! What the fuck? What are you thinking? What's
Why would you
wrong with
just
you?
throw
I thought you
that?
were gonna catch it. Ah! What do you mean? I was gonna catch it. You threw it while I wasn't looking. You said my
Caught it with
name.
my face.
I think it's the same in my head, right? It's like the same thing where it's about intent, right? Like, I don't think Aunt May didn't throw it to hit Peter with evil intent.
No, Aunt May knew that Peter would catch it, and he didn't.
Yeah.
And
it's
it's the same thing. It's like he's gonna catch it, and it's gonna be a sign of his growth, and he got it with his face.
The absolute last thing I will say before we can roll in, because we're on a time schedule here, and so like we'll get Kaden into her theories. The last thing I'll say is I love the moment in that the whole Mihawk dad situation where Zoro is like on his knees being like, please train me, and Mihawk being like, God, I have like less respect for you now because you just really, you're gonna come in here groveling to like beg me to teach you. I thought you were gonna be the greatest swordsman. And he's like, yeah, but I'm going to do anything and everything for my captain. And then him being like, well, you couldn't even take care of the monkeys outside. He's like, nah. Before I even asked you, I took care of the monkeys outside. And then the panel of Mihawk like shivering because he's like, is this a shiver of pride? He's like, he looks at Zoro then with like dad eyes, and that's when the dad starts, and that is the last I will say about the subject for now.
Oh, okay.
So as a quick wrap up, let's cover the last couple of things. So after Hoda Jones is defeated, we see all of his crew old and gray, and as things start to die down, Luffy like offers Jinbei like, hey, join my crew, and Jinbei's like, yo, thank you for the opportunity, but he is affiliated with one of the Yonko, Big Mom. And he's like, okay, I have some business with her. Let me wrap all of that up and I'll come back. And if you still wish, if however long that takes, if you still want me to join, I will join. And so that's there. And when he gives us that information, he also gives us, BT dubs, the Marines are all goofed because Akainu is the new fleet admiral and Aokiji is gone.
Aokiji was like, whatever, I didn't want the position anyway.
I don't know, because they fought about it for 10 days on an island called Punk Hazard, which as a result of the magma powers of Akainu and the ice powers of Aokiji has been split between a tundra and a magma-filled landscape. So
Icy hot.
magma.
Yeah, icy hot island, Punk Hazard.
Hot island.
And also to fill the void of Whitebeard, Blackbeard has become an emperor of the sea.
Lame.
Absolutely. And so as things are starting to wrap up, we get Luffy seeing cool, candy. Can I have some candy? And they're like, no, this isn't for you. This is for Big Mom. And they go, who's that? Get her on the phone.
Oh, here she is on the phone right now.
Listen, you suck.
Hey, guess what?
hey,
I eated it.
Your
How
candy?
much candy was it?
I ate
10
it.
tons. Yeah, I ate 10 tons of candy.
They were like, literally, they're like, please, sir, don't ask us of this because it's the one thing we can't give you.
The big thing is the declaration of war.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
that
I'm
was
gonna
pretty poggers.
I'm gonna make Fishman Island my turf. And it's just like, uh-oh.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Already making waves, even though he's underwater.
Oh, God.
That's where all the waves start.
But yeah, I like talking just talking about how Jinbei does what he needs to do to protect the island immediately after the sad death of Whitebeard.
Very sad. Very sad.
Read the room and was like, well, this island still needs to be protected somehow in a capacity of this outer force, and kind of read the room and was like, well, Kaido's a freak. I guess I'll go to Big Mom. And yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to see that.
I personally would have asked Shanks, but I'm not gonna Big Papa, Big Mama. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, I guess it depends on who had what land, how close the rest of like Big Mom's protections are, if it makes sense. Like, I mean, either way, we don't know what happened within that 2 years, let alone the century. But ultimately, Luffy and the crew set sail. They say goodbye to Hachan, Kami, Papagu, and the princess and everybody. We didn't even talk about the royal family that much, but all of the Boshi Bros were
Boshi Bros.
The Boshi Bros were pretty entertaining, but they were mostly just there to be like exposition.
Also dance.
Also dance and sing and Fali.
Their designs were great. I think that their designs really leaned into the aesthetic of the island that Oda was going for.
Yeah. And so the Straw Hats set sail to whatever island may come next. If we did miss anything, if you wanted us to talk about anything, please let us know. You can leave us comments. You can follow us on Twitter. We're trying, there is a lot of intricacy to each of these arcs. And for anybody who is completely caught up to this point, knows how intricate things are going to get from this point. We are going to be
multi-part.
Everything's going to start being multi-part. But
multiple.
We're going to start.
The ordeal of balls was over.
Not the ordeal of balls. It's just getting started. Welcome to Punk Hazard: balls.
Oh yeah, we're getting deep in it. So balls deep. But
All right, please stop.
Oh, I spit everywhere.
all right, please. But that's all to say that we're going to start getting into things where we're going to be talking about ideas, concepts, sort of like what we did today, of not really going through piece by piece with everything, because if we did, we would be here for forever.
There are several pieces
more
in this one piece.
Feeling.
Exactly. And like the things that spoke to us, if you want to get a moment to moment breakdown of the show, watch the show. But if there are particular things that we didn't talk about or you want us to talk about more, maybe that's something we can do in a bonus episode where we talk about things that you think
depth.
we might have missed. So make sure to follow us on Yayo Talk Show. Leave us comments there. You can leave comments on Spotify. We have Q&As now on every single episode. So please go back and answer those questions. I'm gonna bring those up in a little bit.
Leave us reviews and then add some questions or thoughts in there as well.
Absolutely.
On Apple.
But for the time being, it's time that we get into Caden's prediction corner. And so the only I want you to talk about what you want to talk about, but please be cognizant of our heart out.
So I'm gonna set a timer for 10 minutes, Caden.
Okay, let me ask one question because I set this up for all of you first. So before you start that timer, I have one question for all of you. I am now in Punk Hazard.
Mm-hmm.
How many sagas do I have left?
All right. I was very adamant about this in spoilers. What you have left, in my opinion, is you have 3 sagas.
Okay, don't tell me the names. I don't want to know that.
No.
But I have 3 sagas left. I've been through 7.
Yeah.
The fact that ahead of me is 3. And it's the length of the 7 I just finished.
And be aware that you are on like chapter 650 something.
Yeah.
Currently, like as of last Friday, the manga is on, I think, 1043.
Yep.
So, and there are 3 sagas, Caden. There are 3, in my opinion, 3 sagas.
All right. With that said, there is one piece of information that bothered the hell out of me when this whole thing started. And here we are. It's Robin being my surrogate in this story, doing the things that I would do in these situations, asking questions, not just passively just sailing on through and doing whatever. Robin is observing all of everything, taking in the information, digesting it, and finding the right questions to ask. Because the question that came out of nowhere, because of one little phrase, 2 words, Joy Boy. Who's Joy Boy? Who is Joy Boy? It's Joy Boy, in response, is a human from above that actually existed in the Void Century. It's a person from 800 years ago that doesn't exist. And it's such a non-answer. It gives us nothing to go on, except for the fact that this person, whoever Joy Boy was, or whatever Joy Boy was erased from history because of what happened in the Void Century by the Marines. That is what we know as of this moment because of all this. Now, the Joy Boy stuff is going to bother the hell out of me for a really long time. It's just going to, because I know this is one of those things that we just got the little tiny thing right now. We just got a little dangling fruit that's just happening. And it's going to just... The fact that Joy Boy is tied to the era that doesn't exist anymore is bothering me because it's all got to sync together at some point. And there's a lot of loose threads, and it's starting to like come to a point where we have more loose threads than thread anymore, which is starting to become a little bit of a problem because I'm running out of things to grasp on because I've grabbed everything else. So I'm going way more general with this. I have 3 thoughts. Joy Boy is not a person, but a thing. And it wasn't clear enough. And because that piece of time was erased, it was just kind of reformed into more of a, an abstract thought. So people assume it's a person, but it's actually a thing. And, it just got muddled in the past. And this thing is one of the things that they want to cover up in the Void Century. They just want to cover that up because Joy Boy was the cause of it. Joy Boy could just be a nickname, not actually a name of a person. So it's just like this person's name was blah, 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 but was called Joy Boy, and they were more known for being Joy Boy. Case in point, straw hat, red hair, clown face, things like that.
Buggy?
Bogart Q?
Wait, Boygart Q Clownington?
Oh my God.
Hold the fucking phone.
Everybody sat forward when they heard their favorite buzzword, clown face.
I'm currently applying makeup.
So the third one is Joy Boy isn't a name. or a nickname, and not a thing, but a title, something that could be passed down, something
It's
that
a lifestyle.
they wanted to impart on. Yes,
brand.
it's a big smile. It's all about bringing
Joy Boy TM.
So, so, so Joy Boy being a title that can be passed down through all of the years prior, and then just being erased because of the Void Century, and it was forgotten and never passed down. So there was no new title holder for Joy Boy. But that means because of that little implication, there is a potential for another Joy Boy in the title sense to come along later. So my first theory of it not being a person sounds fun, but it's probably wrong. 2 is probably likely the logical answer, but my money's on 3 because the Will of D has been such a predominant theme in the entire series. It's all about a title.
It's all about the D.
It's all about the D.
Sorry, all I could think about, Kaden, when you were talking about this is who would Joy Boy's rival be? Fuck Boy.
Listen.
Oh god.
I immediately thought of Buggy's face.
I'm so sad. I'm so sad that we can't use that as the title. So
sorry.
my long shot, like
no, I think we could do the opposite of Joy Boy. Could be a lead-in for the payoff of the
Joy
joke.
Boy,
I wanted-
sad man. Cut to Buggy's sad face.
Oh my god.
Sad Buggy.
Oh jeez.
I actually wanted this episode to be, after Caden said it hours ago, but I wanted this episode to be titled Fissues. I got issues with the Fissues.
I got fissues with this one.
We're cutting into Caden's 10 minutes.
So my final like kind of little thought here is what makes Joy Boy, you know, what Roger actually found? Is that the one piece? What allows somebody to hold the title of Joy Boy? Is that what Roger found? And Roger didn't take it specifically because Roger knew he was going to die. And if he knew he was going to die, if he took up the mantle of Joy Boy, he wouldn't be able to pass it on. So what he wanted to do is put it there, knowing full well whoever found it would be unstoppable and become a true pirate king. Could that be what it is? Could that be what One Piece is? Or is it just another key, another big part about unlocking this grand treasure at the end of this journey?
If you look at the word Joy Boy and you rearrange it, it actually spells out a name. And then when you go and you look up the name, you realize that it translates from Spanish to this other thing. And then we get down to the line and it's just like, it just means friendship. And then we open the treasure chest at the end of the grand line. And it was friendship this entire time.
This whole time.
If you respell it, it says Yubji.
Yubji?
The other thing that I kind of want to very quickly talk about is the fact that we have the giant world-destroying weapons. We have now met one of them. She's very sweet, very loving, very caring. That means we have
very sweet.
We have vague understanding of what these weapons kind of are now. And I feel like it's going to be there's going to be 2 different scenarios. It's either going to be everybody against the Straw Hats and their alliance, which I know that they're going to start building one bigger and bigger now because we're getting into bigger waters and they're going to need partners in the seas here. And it's going to be just like, all right, everybody against the Straw Hats, because if the Straw Hats break this line, then there's no stopping them for real. And then One Piece treasure the Grand Line. So it's either going to be Luffy's going to have 2 of these weapons and they're going to have one because Luffy was any weapon that's a person will be on Luffy's side. That is just how Luffy works. Luffy's already got one. Luffy's got one. All right.
One piece to the puzzle.
But
and it's friendship.
We did it, everybody.
The other side of this is making me think that it's going to be an all-out 3-way war between the Marines, pirates, and the Straw Hat, Straw Hat Alliance or whatever. And each one will have their own weapon, and Luffy's already got his. That means that the other 2 need to get situated and hunker down because it's going to start getting real in the next
Well-
700,000, 400 million chapters. And it was just going to be, about like, are these, it's like, it's going to all come down to convictions.
I will say
Because-
at the same time, Frankie did burn the plans to one of the weapons.
Yes, supposedly. I'm
Yeah.
gonna,
I mean, it's.
I'm gonna say no.
it's-
I'm gonna say supposedly. Those are the plans that we knew existed. There is a high probability that there is more. There is a non-zero way that we're not going to see all of these weapons be.
I think
be
what Mark was
put together.
trying to allude to is that I'm sure Frankie memorized the plans before he burned them. So if you, in what you're saying, that means that Luffy has two technically.
At the
Potentially,
same,
yeah.
like, what if the Sunny is the enactment of those plans?
Or it's like, or like the base of it, and he's just going to keep building on it.
Uh-oh.
Can I just say, now that you're like, as you're catching up,
1 minute left.
we're finally getting to the point where we're not sweating, but we're just like going, yeah, because we still don't know the answer to anything anyway.
So
Man,
I
me too.
I want to end this whole thing. With something I told Mark. It's like, I swear, if this is another, we'll talk about Wano, and then we'll go there in a billion years situation, because I feel like I'm not going to hear bunk about it for a long time, and then I'm going to get mad. And immediately I followed up. It's like, watch me get hit by the curse of Apollo, and I don't hear another word about Joy Boy until we get to Wano, which is going to be like 400 million years from now. So I'm just.
We just haven't heard about it.
We
at all.
really haven't. And like, it's like, like he does, there are sprinkles every now and again, but we still don't know what's going on.
It's mostly just to reiterate what we just learned on Fishman
Yeah,
Island.
it's just sort of be like, hey, remember this name, remember. And we're like, okay, we got it. Tell us something about them, please.
Uh-oh, there's a timer.
Well, everything's very, very loosey goosey right now.
Is your interest piqued, Caden? Are you interested in this new mystery we all get to sit and figure out for the next, I don't know,
We get to stew in
500
it.
plus? Yeah, 500 plus.
I am going to beat Oda into figuring out what Joy Boy is. So I'm going to figure out what Joy Boy is before Oda reveals what Joy Boy is. That's what's going to happen.
I look forward to that so much.
And if I do, Oda, it's on.
Uh-oh.
It's on. You and me.
Oda's like sweating now.
Mano a mano. My
Oda's
hot
break
against yours. Let's go.
Yeah,
It's Oda's break week this week, and I can feel him like sitting up, like there's something disturbing the force.
He felt the rumble of the hockey from
I
here.
should put something in this next chapter.
He's like, I need to start working. I'm break's over. I gotta get going.
Better get good, Oda, because I'm coming for you. All right.
Wherever he is right now, he just had a sneezing fit.
The One Piece is mine. All right.
Uh-oh.
Oh, geez.
I can read the poneglyphs.
Man, we back in a big way.
Yeah.
So
I'm excited.
make sure, we kind of teased it along through this episode, but make sure to listen next time. We're going to be talking about One Piece Film Z, and you can purchase it Amazon, you can stream it, like you can find the movie, watch it, and so you can follow along with a conversation with us next week. But after that, it looks like we're going to be diving into Punk Hazard. And Icy Hot Island. I cannot absolutely wait.
I can
But-
use them right now, actually.
Until then, Caden, can you share with the folks where they can find you on all social media?
Yes, my name is Caden Jensen. You can find me on Twitter, Tumblr, Instagram, and Twitch. That's KDINJENZEN. I stream regularly. I'm a VTuber. We have all sorts of fun over there. I'm a variety streamer, and I stream regularly, so come on by.
Al?
You can find me on Twitch, Instagram, on Twitter at Al McClellan Jr. That's ALMCCLELLANDJR. Good luck.
You can find me on Twitter, Twitch, and Instagram at Mark B. Donica. How about you, Captain?
You can find me on Twitter at Tihi HL. Wait. I up with the Teehee, and then my mind went blank. You can find me on Twitter at Tehflod, TEHFLOOD, and you can find me on Tumblr at Molly Flood, Molly K Flood, depending on what you're looking for. And we have a Yayo Talk Show Tumblr. So if you would like to have a specifically curated Tumblr for all of the arcs and sagas we've already talked about, and the movies, gift sets, memes, fan art, things like that, funny text posts, like follow us there because that's the content, baby.
Going along with how most arcs and sagas have ended, now that you've listened to the episode, you've joined our crew. And with that comes the responsibility of telling your friends, leaving a comment, following us on Twitter and Twitch at Yayo Talk Show, and letting Caden watch the show and predict what comes next in One Piece.
In One Piece.
So come aboard, and we'll see you next time on Yayo Talk Show.
Talking about One Piece.